A young guy starts a hidden romance with a married woman in her early 40s. What starts as interest gradually becomes a powerful emotional upheaval. Will this relationship blossom into love, or will it lead to sorrow and remorse? The tale starts with a family relocating to a different city in Germany. The central figure is Pedro, who comes with his parents and his younger sibling, Nikki. Pedro is 18 and instantly noticeable. He is smart, good-looking, and among the top students in his course. A promising future awaits him. Clears throat. Once they've moved into their new house, the family heads out at night to check out the nearby market. As his parents and sister take pleasure in the area, Pedro chooses to grab his scooter and head to the beach for some fresh air. On the sand, Pedro sees a lady who looks to be around 40 years old. She is taking off her damp garments by the water's edge. The surprising view leaves Pedro feeling puzzled and swamped. His feelings briefly get the better of him, but he catches himself and doesn't follow through with his ideas. The lady sees Pedro observing her. When she glances his way, she parts her towel a little, which makes him feel even more awkward. Yet Pedro does not go near her. Feeling uncertain and anxious, he promptly departs the beach and goes back to his family at the market. Later that night, Pedro surprisingly encounters the same woman once more at the market. Intrigued and unable to resist, he discreetly trails her and finds out she is lodging at a hotel. Pedro, after battling his inner turmoil, finds the strength to tap on her hotel room door. When the lady opens the entrance, Pedro gets anxious and nearly walks off. The lady, named Julie, asks him to come in and tells him her name. She soon understands that Pedro is a pupil. Even though there's a noticeable age gap, Julie's actions make Pedro even more puzzled. Feeling swamped by everything, Pedro abruptly exits the space. The following day, Pedro keeps thinking about Julie. Wanting a second opportunity, he goes back to the hotel, but she has already left. The only thing he discovers is one of her t-shirts, which she forgot. Back at his house, Pedro phones the hotel front desk and requests Julie's contact information. When he dials the number later, he discovers he has connected with John, Julie's husband. Startled, Pedro quickly ends the call. The narrative then shifts to Pedro's classroom, where he maintains his strong academic performance. He responds to his instructor's inquiries with assurance and gains admiration. Pedro, still unable to move on, phones John once more, feigning a need for details. He finds out where Julie is employed as a delivery driver. Pedro, resolute, waits for Julie to complete her tasks and then meets up with her. Julie immediately knows who Pedro is, but she is puzzled. She asks why he's tracking her at this moment, particularly after he fled previously. Pedro finds it hard to put his emotions into words. Several days later, Pedro encounters Julie once more as she is transporting something. He requests assistance, but she declines and departs in her car. Not long after, Pedro is involved in a car crash. Noticing his injury, Julie believes it's her fault and brings him to her house to care for his cut. As she aids his recovery, the emotional gap between them closes and their connection grows deeper. Following that, Pedro begins seeing Julie often during his university time, since her husband is typically at his job. Gradually, Pedro's existence starts to transform. He stops paying attention to his schoolwork, begins dozing off during lessons, and spends more time with Julie than in class. One afternoon, Pedro's mom is preparing to leave and tells him to look after his little sister. But Pedro really wants to see Julie. He neglects his duty, abandoning his sister to hurry to Julie's home through the downpour. Nikki sees he's gone, but doesn't say anything. At Julie's home, Pedro feels at ease and content. However, Julie's husband then shows up without warning. In a panic, Pedro snatches his clothes and conceals himself on the balcony. Due to the downpour, John stays indoors, and Julie succeeds in keeping him occupied. After John falls asleep, Julie tells Pedro to leave. This event greatly disturbs Pedro. He feels envious, pained, and upset because Julie made him conceal himself outdoors while her spouse was inside. He goes back to his house, weeping and puzzled by his feelings. His mother and father observe his odd conduct and become worried, particularly because their own union is also experiencing difficulties. The following day, Pedro and his relatives go to a piano recital at a church. In that place, Pedro encounters a young woman named Clara, who plainly expresses her attraction to him. But Pedro is too fond of Julie to see Clara. Later, Pedro is surprised to find Julie waiting outside his home. His mother and father think he knows her, but Pedro disregards Julie and goes indoors. The next day, Julie walks up to him close to his school. Now, Pedro at last explains to her the reason for his anger. That evening, Julie arrives at Pedro's home, where his parents are away. Pedro is meant to be looking after his sister, but when Julie shows up, they have a big fight. In the end, they both settle down, say sorry, and become friends. Pedro then performs a lovely piano song, which touches Julie deeply. The following day, they visit the park as a group and pass a relaxed day delighting in one another's presence. They share a laugh, unwind, snap some pictures, and put their troubles out of mind for a bit. When night falls, Julie asks Pedro to come to her guest house, which is close by. They prepare food side by side and pass the time conversing, experiencing ease and joy. But trouble starts when Pedro's sister informs their mother that Pedro spends the majority of his time with his girlfriend. Pedro's mom looks at his phone and discovers pictures of Pedro alongside Julie. She gets puzzled and concerned. Meanwhile, Pedro's school performance declines and his instructor advises him to concentrate on his prospect. One day, while Pedro's parents are out, Julie comes to see him once more. Pedro hands her a sincere love note. As Julie reads the letter, feelings grow between them. However, the noise of the front entrance opening abruptly breaks their conversation. Pedro steps out and finds his mom with a different guy. Pedro, full of anger and surprise, rushes away. Julie attempts to console him, but he disregards her. Afterward, Julie goes back to her house and her husband confronts her there. He harms her in a fit of rage, then instantly feels bad and says sorry. At the same time, Pedro's mom stops her secret relationship and attempts to reconcile with Pedro, but he won't hear her out. Pedro's mom later informs his dad that he was already aware of her infidelity. The following day, she proposes giving Julie cash to avoid Pedro, but Julie declines. Julie then encounters Pedro outside the university. Pedro gets mad when he sees her hurt face, but Julie quietly informs him that their relationship is over. She chooses to go back to her husband and gives Pedro her wedding invite. Upset, Pedro hurries to Julie's guest house, skipping his last exam. His dad looks for him and discovers him sleeping in that spot. Julie assists Pedro in waking up, and following a grave discussion, she escorts him to school. Julie informs Pedro that she cares for him deeply, but is unable to stay with him. She tells him to go on and enjoy his life. Pedro finally gets it. He finishes his test as Julie proceeds with her marriage. Ultimately, Pedro embraces the hurt, gains insight from what happened, and gradually progresses, understanding that numerous friends